Hello, my name is not Rebecca, and I'm going to be your marriage counselor for today. I see you came alone, so it's going to be a one-on-one sesh. Now, let me just open to a clean sheet of paper inside my notebook, which did not belong or ever belong to Rebecca, and I'm going to simply be jotting down some notes as you begin to tell me the speech about your life. I would like to know every single detail or exchange you and your significant other, the big events in your life that you might be feeling like is starting to pour into your marriage right now. Please be as thorough as possible and as detailed. You feel like it's going to be far too much for me? Listen, I did not become a marriage counselor just because of my sensitivity. I have no sensitivity. I have sympathy, but when it comes to not being able to handle certain stories, trust me, you won't be able to handle mine. Now, the details, please. I would like to start helping you. What experience did I go through? Well, I'm divorced, of course. I divorced quite a while after a lot of things happened. But to give you a brief summary, I met a rich guy, Mr. De Winter, and we dated for 2 weeks. Off to a good start. And Mr. De Winter ended up proposing to me, and I wanted a change of scenery. I wanted a life of luxury, and I just wanted a change, and I felt like I was in love with the man, of course, because he was attractive, he was wealthy, he was, secure. It was a good bet. But you see, what had happened was he was formerly married. He had a wife before I was the second, and the help he had in his home, Mrs. Danvers, she was not only the maid, but also the house psychopath. You see, what happened was she did not like me because I was not Rebecca, and she was in love with Rebecca, which was my husband's former wife's name. Off to a great start, wouldn't you say? Now, she manipulated me, she abused me, she made me feel less than the woman I am and very insecure. She made it seem as if my husband did not like me or care about me. She was quite thorough in her manipulation. She would leave belongings from Rebecca in my room, show me her clothes, rub it against my face and whatnot. Truly, to have a lady who's obsessed with a dead woman rub the dead woman's clothes on your face, who so happened to be the dead wife of your now husband, it's quite a mind game, to say the least. It's like mind monopoly, basically. But she just kept going and going and going with it, and she just kept putting all of her crap in with my stuff. So one day I just made it clear, listen, I am the new Mrs. De Winter, which was my only identity. So sad. It is such a tragic point when your entire identity is defined by who you're married to. And my entire identity was defined by who I was married to, and that was Mr. De Winter. Hence why my entire identity was Mrs. De Winter, and I had spent such a long time trying to convince people of my identity, which it wasn't. Now I am just known as not Rebecca. Now, back to the story. So, I ended up saying, no, I am Mrs. De Winter now. I am the new Mrs. De Winter. But she, with her little cold rock face, with her all like emotionless, manipulativeness, she was all like, oh, right. And so she kept insisting that I was not as good as Rebecca, which was my husband's former wife. I don't know if I already mentioned that or not, but eventually she just got into my head. She just got into my head so much. She just really just buried herself in there, just deep in there. And she tried telling me to jump out of a window. A window. I was completely emotionally distraught. She noticed that and she took advantage of the situation, opened the window and said, "Here, it's quite alright, dear. Why don't you go get some fresh air? You can always it's just a quick drop, a quick jump." I mean, to have some lady tell you to jump out a window? Like, excuse me? So she was truly a psychopath. But nonetheless, I ended up clearing the situation with my husband, Maxim, quite a fancy dancy name. And he ended up saying, no, he's truly in love with me. And I was like, oh, you're in love with me? And he's like, yes, when it comes to Rebecca, trust me, I have no feelings for her. You see, I never had feelings for her. And I was like, sure, then why did you marry her? And he was like, well, I was forced to marry her. And I was like, oh, well, okay then. And he was like, but the thing is, she kept cheating on me. And then she ended up saying that she was pregnant with another man's child and that she was going to make me raise it as my own because the social stigma of me abandoning my own son or daughter would be too strong. So I decided to murder her. And so I shot her and then I put her in a boat and then I sunk the boat and it was just deemed a suicide. And I was in a room with a confessed lady killer, like a literal lady killer. And you know what was the only thing going on through my head? Do you know what the only thing was? He's in love with me. So, clearly my priorities were not the straightest. So, trust me when I say, I get where you're coming from. The ordeal cannot possibly be that bad. What happened later? Well, my husband and I reconciled because I had not yet come to my senses, and then Mrs. Danvers burned our house down in Manderley. She just burned the mansion down. And guess what? She died with it. Congrats. What an idiot, but I'm glad she's gone. Now, afterwards, we were destitute because he lost his property, and he was like, oh, you can't wear black dresses and pearls, or black satin dresses and pearls. Oh, and I don't want you to ever be 36. And I was just, how exactly do you just not be 36 unless you die? And so, considering how he was a lady killer and he told me not to be 36, I put two and two together, and that's when I decided that it's best to go into the witness protection program, to be honest, because I did not want to be murdered. And so I ratted him out, and I just fled. To be honest, I was not gonna get shot and then just like have my murder be framed as a suicide. Nonetheless, back to your marriage. Tell me, how's your marriage going? Be as thorough, as detailed as possible. Every little detail counts. I mean, some people would have thought that, you know, your husband telling you that he doesn't want you to be 36 or not wear black satin dresses is nothing, but it's something. When your significant other is telling you, don't do this and don't do that over arbitrary reasons, nothing for your protection, but rather just because of his own tastes, yeah, you should really drop that guy, especially if he's a lady killer. You should drop that guy in jail. So, now, details, please. Interesting. I can write without looking. It's my talent. It's my talent as not Rebecca. It's not Rebecca's talent. Not Rebecca. I'm not Rebecca. Anyways. There we go. Keep going. Right. Truly fascinating. Okay, I think I'm going to take on your case. So far, this is what I have for my notes. So I think I'm going to be the perfect candidate for your marriage counseling. So once again, if you are going to be scheduling another appointment, talk to my secretary and everything should be scheduled. I think I'm going to be able to deal with your issues quite fine, quite nicely, so. It's a pleasure to meet you, and remember, my name is not Rebecca.